Hey everyone, Anthony here, and today we're going to go through a Python data structure kind of thing, or like a Python fundamental type thing, which is dictionaries. Now, I have over here an actual dictionary. So this is the Petit Robert, which I'm using to try understand more French, very slowly, but still doing it. When I find something I don't understand and I want to know what it means, I grab this thing, find the word, look it up here, and then get the definition out of it, which is essentially what we're doing as a Python concept as well. So let's actually do that with some camera terms. When we do a dictionary, we have something like this. So camera terms, we're going to call the dictionary camera terms, and we're going to use this curly brace here to open and close it to say, all right, we're going to start putting interesting things in here. So the first thing, like with the human dictionary, is that I have to have something I want to use to look it up. So using camera terms, f-stop. I would like to know what f-stop is. So then the other side of the colon is what the dictionary will tell you f-stop is. So in this case, f-stop is the, formally it is the ratio of the lens's focal length to the diameter of spelling of the aperture. All right, so we'll also do a definition for aperture here. So if someone doesn't know what aperture is, and we ask the camera terms dictionary, so aperture is, so again, the first thing you see here, oops, sorry, bouncing around, the first thing you see is the key, then there's the colon, and then we put what we want to say. So the aperture is the size of the opening that lets light through to the sensor. All right, and you can see I'm adding more and more terms in here. So we'll add DOF, size of the region that's in acceptably sharp focus. So I can keep going more and more and more. You'll notice I have the comma at the end of it. It looks like a list, which you've seen before, but the difference is that it's got one thing, the colon, the other thing. So that's basically a list of definitions. So let's actually use this guy quickly. So here's my camera terms, and we can ask it, so hey, camera terms, what's DOF? DOF is the size of the region that's in acceptable sharp focus. Hey, camera terms, what is f-stop? Cool, it's this thing. Hey, camera terms, what's f-stop with a capital Z? No, I don't know. You will have noticed immediately this, well, actually, I'll show you. And then you can also use a slightly different notation. Camera terms, and then you can use this square bracket, and we can do the same thing. So DOF. All right, so it'll return us values. If you say DOF with a capital Z, it will complain at you basically and say, see this error, key error, right? So it's saying, you have asked me to get something from the dictionary that key does not exist, hence why it's called a key error. Now, this should hopefully be very familiar to you if I just put down a grade note here, to the way we access knobs. So Nuke selected node, get, and then we're going to get a knob called blah. Not get, knob. My brain's not working. So obviously, if we ask for the knob called blah, it's going to give us a blank none value, whereas we use the same square bracket approach, it's going to complain. In this case, it's going to complain with a name error that the knob blah does not exist, but you can sort of see the parallels between this structure and this structure here. I'll just put DOF z here, right? So it's the same thing. So if you've been using these two calls for knob and the square bracket notation to get knobs off a Nuke node, you've already got in your fingertips roughly the same thing here. Now, something to also note, I've also used words here, aperture and text, to define it. A dictionary can store pretty much anything here as a key as long as it's as long as it's a hashable type. Don't worry about what that actually means, but just try shove whatever you want in there and see what happens. There's a whole bunch of gotchas with this, so there are things that you will immediately break, but as a starting point, this is going to work. So that's the Python data structure kind of thing there. Now, question obviously in your head is why? Why do we bother with any of this stuff? So let me use this little rig up here as a bit of a demonstrator. Now, this is going to show two ways to approach the same problem with some benefits in some cases and some disadvantages, but it'll give you a feel for what you can do. Now, I've got on screen here the windows for showing a bunch of colors from the color checker, the Macbeth thing, right? So you've got a description and you've got some sRGB color values. So we're just going to use those quickly. All right, so let me just not move the damn, oh God, let's turn that off. Okay, cool. So I built this a little bit earlier in this group. So I have 4 constants which represent, let's bring up my group here quickly. So this is, I built this earlier just for speed. So we've got blue sky, foliage, blue flower, and bluish green. Right, so you can see on the switch here, 0, 1. Why is that not changing? Oh, have an expression linked to it. So the switch equals the parent color. Right, there we go. Now it should change. All right, so you could build this quite easily and report back you could display the color quite simply. So obviously if I put my viewer plugged into the group, nothing here is, you see this changes. There's nothing here that's particularly exciting, right? So that's simple. But let's go a little step further. First of all, you can see a disadvantage. If someone actually gets the order wrong here, then your entire lookup table is broken. So you have logic and all the stuff in, I guess, a couple separate places. So that's the first problem. The second thing is you might want to color swatch, but you might also actually want to know what the numbers are. So right now I have to sample this image, right? That's a pain. So I would actually prefer this. Let's add a color knob here. What is this? Sure. Go. So I would actually like the values here. All right. If you have a switch set up like this, this becomes surprisingly annoying. So you actually have an expression that's a little bit like this. So you need to go to the switch node inside, switch 1, and you need to go to the input, so switch on which. So this will tell us I'm on input 3 right now, okay? But you also need to say, oh, I need the switch 1.input, that one. You need the value of it, oh God. And then you need the, what's this thing called? Color, all right. Color. And you need to spell switch correctly. So you need something a little bit like this. The TCL is a bit messy, so I'll just put all 3 of them here, and it's meant to be red, green, and blue. Cool, and it'll show you the correct thing. So let's go to blue sky. Blue sky is this one here, and 383478615. Cool, blue flower. 4037, you know, so the numbers are correct there. That's actually a huge pain in the ass, to be perfectly honest. And I really don't, I mean, I can write this TCL, but I don't like it. Also, you'll notice it's got hard-coded names in here. So let's go ahead and change this to color switch. If I change that, this all breaks. So it's quite brittle. So you can see there's all these points where things go wrong. You've got an ordering situation to deal with here. You've got naming things to deal with here. Luckily, this TCL, in this case, we only care about what this color switch is called. So let's just restore that back to switch 1. Yay, back to running. It doesn't care about what the constants are called. You can name these, you know, this last one is bluish green. Bluish green. Yeah, that's fine. That works still okay. Right. But you see, there's a number of disadvantages. So really, let's take a step back and look at what we've done. We've basically gone from this selection here to a bunch bunch of colors, but it's all driven by this. So we're actually looking for the definition of, hey, what is blue flower? So let's try build that using the dictionary approach we've just done. It's going to be slightly different, so I'm going to let's just copy this group here. So I've got group 3, and we're just going to reset a number of these things. So color. So let's go into group 3. I'm going to delete the switch here. We don't actually want to use the switch, and we're going to get rid of all these constants here. I should probably put this down here so it's a little bit easier to see. So I've got a constant. It's going to output the constant. We're going to use the same triplet here, but we're going to actually edit the expressions. We don't want any expressions on that, no animation. Cool. And we want to drive this internal thing from this thing here. So we're going to go this way instead. So this is now driving this. In the other situation, we had the reverse. There's no switch here. There's just this. Now, you would normally have a knob callback thing here. We're just going to use an explicit button to add a Python script button. I'm just going to call it do stuff. All right. Cool. So our brief is every time we hit do stuff, it's going to update these values and produce us a color out here that works correctly. So I'll swap the viewer here, so we should be able to see it working. Now, let's go into the code a bit. I'm going to do it all in the script editor, the knob thing here, even though I hate working like this, but it's easier. All right. So first of all, we want to build our color lookup table, right? So same thing, color lookup, these guys here. So then we know that we have certain words here, this blue sky and everything. Now, again, we do it like this, blue sky. It has to be the same words, but blue sky, and then instead of using a definition of what blue sky is, we can give it an RGB triplet. Now, foolishly, I didn't write these things down beforehand, so let's actually do that. All right, let's do that again. Ugh, I wish I would remember where I wanted this thing. So there you go. There's our color lookup here. Blue sky is this thing. Blue sky is that thing, foliage is that, blue flower is that one. Cool, so that's our color lookup table. When we press the button, we want to do this, nuke.this node, so the node. We don't care about the knob that's being pressed because it's the Python script button. But we want to say this node, and then we want to get the knob called color. I'm going to use this form, this is fine. The value. So we want to know what's been selected. Right, and then we want to say from the color lookup, get what that definition is. Right, so that's RGB equals that one. So we know that's the RGB, and then we can just do nuke.this node. This is probably this nuke.this node. The reason I do this is because I hate having multiple this node calls around the place. First of all, it's more typing. Second of all, it makes it harder to debug it outside. I can just change this from nuke this node to nuke selected node at one point. Makes life a bit simpler. So this node, and then we know, what do we got here? Manage user knobs. Okay. I'll just get this thing working and then I'll explain. All right, this should now work. Done. So we've achieved the same rough out here. Okay, so we'll fix that in a moment because remember I didn't put bluish green down here. So blue sky is this value, foliage is this value, and blue flower is this value. Now, if you were to be mucking around with it, like you can now expression link this much more easily. You're not so much worried about all the weird expressions on this group because that's just horrible. People are going to look at that and just go, I have no idea what this is. What drugs are you on? All right. As well, we can deal with a situation like bluish green. So bluish green is something that wasn't present, right? So we can use the get function here, get function here to provide a default value. So in this case, get, close him. So here, if you're saying, hey, I don't know. So if you ask it for junk, you'll get back a I don't know answer. And you can take that approach here as well. So manage user knobs on the do stuff button. We can just say get this node colors value. If you don't know what the value is, just let's give it I don't know. Let's just give it white. So 1 1 1. Okay. And it's going to give us a default value of 1 1 1 for I don't know. So let's pick bluish green, do stuff. It's just going to go wham. I don't know what this is. I really don't know. So this is the other way of approaching the problem. You can have all your information encoded in the Python script here. Now, it's not particularly visible, which is a challenge, but it is controlled in the one place. Everything is here. You can expand this as much as you want. If you're maintaining this node, you will hopefully know what's going on here. You'll have documentation for it, and it's just one place you control it. So all the behavior is in one thing. This would potentially be a knob change callback or something. That there are pros and cons, like I said. The pros obviously is your information's all in one spot. You don't have to worry about, you can put protection here for missing values if someone changes the, if someone changes the list of options here, you can make it fail gracefully. You don't care about the, you don't care about the fact there's an ordering requirement here now. So if someone does this and you're relying on these values, like that's quite easy to miss. Like you won't necessarily see that. You definitely won't see this, right? You're relying on the ordering of 0, 1, 2, 3 to correspond with the ordering of what's on your pull down, your enumerated knob. So I think it's one half a dozen the other. Use the one that suits the problem you're dealing with better. But for the purposes of this video, this structure here, where I've just got a constant that's driven by the group here, and it has everything that is part of this do stuff button, that suits what I'm trying to demonstrate in this video, which is the idea of a dictionary as a simple lookup table to allow you to map one thing to another. So that's it in Nuke kind of terms. So yeah, that's I guess a brief run through of dictionaries. So let us know if that makes sense. It's one of those fundamental things you'll see everywhere. You'll see this pattern all over the place where they brace something colon something else and a comma at the end, hopefully, and you'll see that as a dictionary now, hopefully. All right, hopefully that helps. I'll see you guys later.